Welcome back, investors, to Ticker Time News. I'm Adam, and earnings season is in full swing with big reports due out from Microsoft, Tesla, Tractor Supply, Apple, Robinhood, and Chevron, just to name a few key earnings reports that we're going to get this week. Now, on the economic calendar this week, it features updates from the Federal Reserve with more clarity on the end of quantitative easing, or QE, anticipated, and potential clues on the pace of interest rate hikes that could swing Treasury yields in a big way. We will be watching the crypto market very closely this week after Bitcoin lost 16% last week and Ethereum fell 24%. The week ends with the fourth quarter GDP report arriving to expectations that the economy grew at a rate of 5.8% despite some Omicron headwinds. Now, the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 index are coming off their worst weekly results since March of 2020. That is pretty bad. Oh boy. As a matter of fact, overall market momentum is negative. In the S&P 500, which has been in positive momentum, it swung to negative momentum last week, and the strongest negative signal since November the 17th. Out of the 11 S&P 500 sectors, only one remains in positive momentum territory, and that's the energy sector. Then throw in the major indices are now below key support areas, and I believe this market still has further room to fall. The stock market is full of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, with any rally short-lived, and it quickly fails to show any conviction. What is the source of all this FUD? Well, the Fed. When will the Fed raise rates, and by how much? There are so many rumors going around that maybe the Fed's going to pull the rug out from under our feet in January and raise rates. Or maybe when they raise rates in March, they're not going to do it by 25 basis points, but 50 basis points. So there's a lot of FUD and fear in the market. So mark your calendars for January the 26th and March 16th. This is when the Fed will come out with their press releases and talk to the country about their plan. Will the Fed raise rates sooner? That will be announced on January 26th, if they do. If not, I don't think they will, by the way. When March 16th rolls around, when the Fed will announce the first rate hike. So keep those two dates on your calendar. They will move the markets. Plus, market conditions are weaker than on average performance for 2022, as January is historically one of the best months of the year for the S&P 500. This is actually the worst start to the year since 2009 for the S&P 500 and 2008 for the Nasdaq. With all this doom and gloom and FUD, right now, the Dow Jones futures are rising, along with the S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq futures. All the indices right now, the major three, are rising. Now, that's not going to necessarily predict how Monday will roll out, but it is showing you how the indices are acting at this very specific moment in time. Will we start the week with another fake out rally just to sell off into the close? Well, we'll have to wait and see. But there are some catalysts this week, and our Catalyst Watch video drops every Sunday evening, so make sure you are subscribed to get the right information at the right time to make the right investment decisions. Knowing what the top 10 stocks are in categories like value, growth, dividend, and momentum, well, it provides investors just like you and me with the guidance needed to outperform the market, especially in today's market. So, to help investors meet their goals for 2022, we've put together the top 10 value, growth, dividend, and momentum stocks list. That's 40 high quality stocks ready to choose from that are constantly updated. We've already updated the list several times this month already. So click the first link in the description to become a member and get instant access to our top 10 value, growth, dividend, and momentum stocks, and so much more. We've done the research so you don't have to. Okay, here's my 2 Dow stocks of the week. McDonald's, ticker symbol MCD. They have earnings on Thursday before the market opens. Next up is Chevron, ticker symbol CVX. Now, Chevron was one of my 2 Dow picks from last week, but I'm putting it back on the list for this week as they also have earnings coming out at the end of this week, and I think the momentum can continue moving, and that's on Friday. Okay, let's get into this week's catalyst, starting with Monday. Steel Dynamics, ticker symbol is STLD. Now, they have earnings coming out, and their earnings right now are estimated to be EPS $5.71 a share on revenue of $5.29 billion, and they actually have a strong buy rating right now with a 4.68 out of 5. So that's pretty high. The options market is actually betting on an 11% swing once the numbers are reported from Steel Dynamics. Now, you look here on the chart, they got absolutely hammered on Friday, down 7.9%. I think this is leading into a potential strong earnings for Steel Dynamics, ticker symbol STLD. And you can see on the chart here, outside of Fridays and Thursdays fall, they have been in a pretty tight trading range with a bottom around $58.25 and a top around $66 to $67. Now, with the big slide out of that range on Thursday and Friday of last week, I think that sets them up pretty good for earnings coming out. Next up is IBM. Ticker symbol is IBM. They also report earnings. Now, they have an estimated EPS of $3.29 a share on revenue of $15.96 billion. And they actually have a hold rating right now, a 3.13 out of 5. Now, if you look at the chart here for IBM, they have had some pretty wild swings since their last earnings report, where they actually missed. And I'll put a marker, vertical line there. There's this big gap down from last earnings. And right now, with Friday's drop of only 1.12%, there is, I think, a little bit of room here, a little buffer, as you might say here. But for IBM, as you can see here, they have been all over the place on the chart. But when they do come out with good earnings, typically they are rewarded as the stock rises. Now, there may be an issue this earnings season. I see it as kind of twofold. If you report a good, strong earnings report, you may not be rewarded. If you report a bad earnings report, well, your stock may fall. But there's something that I always say is one of the most important things. You've got your top and bottom line, your EPS, your revenue, right? That gets reported. And there's usually estimates with that, whether you beat them or miss them, right? Well, guidance is just as important, because the stock market, if anything, it is a predictor, or it's placing bets now for how a company is going to do in the future. And that's where guidance plays a big role. If you come out with good, strong guidance for the next quarter, you'll be rewarded. The stock will go up. But if you have weak guidance, well, then the future is not looking so bright for the company, and the stock will head down. That's how it typically works. But we're not in a typical market right now. We're in a market that has lost its momentum. It has lost its conviction. And we're in a market right now where all eyes are on the Fed. What is the Fed going to do? Is the Fed going to see strong earnings reports and strong guidance and then say, oh, we need to raise rates faster and we need to raise them at a higher rate? Or is the Fed looking at the market and seeing weak earnings that are missing and weak guidance and then thinking, oh, well, hold on here. Maybe we don't need to do rate hikes quite so quickly and maybe not raise them quite so fast. So we're in a very different environment right now than a typical market. Because remember, typically, or historically, I should say, January is one of the best months to be in the market, but not this January, because the market dynamics are different right now. Okay, another one to watch is Logitech International. Ticker symbol is LOGI. Now, they also report their earnings. There we go. They have right now they have a buy and a sell rating, right? And it's kind of 50-50 whether to buy it or sell it. Analysts aren't sure what to do with this one right now. Now, the options market does have an idea on what to do with this one, and it is to drop it by 10% once the numbers come out for Logitech. That's what the options market is telling us. While analysts are mixed 50-50, buy it, sell it, the options market is to drop it. Now, it has been in a very pretty pronounced and steady decline since June of 21. It kind of flattened out here in December leading into the new year, but has since just fallen pretty substantially. There's a lot of volume, much higher, 2 to 3 times higher than average selling out of Logitech. So this is one to be careful. This is what I'll say for Logitech. Because remember, the Catalyst Watch video, we don't just talk about the stocks that are going to move up, but we also talk about the stocks that are going to move down. Logitech is one of those that I think are going to move down. Okay, Tuesday, let's talk about this. There's an IPO lockup period expiration on a very popular company, Robinhood. Ticker symbol HOOD, Hood is their ticker symbol. Robinhood Markets. Now, when an IPO lockup occurs, that's when people who are holding shares are allowed to sell their shares. Think of Robinhood CEO holding shares, right? When the lockup period expires, that means that person is now allowed to sell their shares if they want to. Of course, it's a choice. Now, looking at Robinhood here, they had a high of $85 just a couple days after their initial IPO, which occurred back here on the 29th of July. Now, Robinhood opened at $38 a share, and then boom, it shot up from there all the way to $85. And then it fell. It's a $12 stock right now. So the IPO lockup at expiration, this could provide selling pressure on the stock. But put yourself in their shoes for just a moment. If you have this stock that opened up on the market at $38, it ran up to $85, and right now today, it is sitting 65.3% below its IPO price of $38. What would you do? Would you dump your shares for $12 and what is this, 98 cents? Or Would you realize by having some information about how the company functions, hold your shares until better times? I believe that if I was in the position of working at Robinhood and I had shares and we are way down below the IPO price, I'm not sure I would sell my shares at $12.98 because the overall market is kind of in a bearish structure right now. Odd to say, right? Because we have been in this bull run of a market for nearly 2 years now. And it's really hard to say that we are in a bear market. It just doesn't come out naturally, right? So, putting yourself in their shoes, it may not add that much selling pressure to the stock, but I'm sure there are people who are willing to get out, get some money, even at $12.98 a share. I just think most of them will probably wait till this market turns around and rebounds a bit. Robinhood also does report earnings on Thursday after the close. So that could also be factored in on how much selling pressure there is here. Okay, next up, the 3-day Games Beat and Facebook Gaming Summit will feature a big focus on Meta platforms, ticker symbol META, once they finalize that switch. But right now, it's still FB for Facebook. Now, Meta Platforms has been dabbling in games, especially in the metaverse, right? And with Microsoft coming out and taking over, buying Activision Blizzard, that really puts other gaming companies on these big tech companies' radar. Because if Activision Blizzard can be bought, what's to say EA can't be bought by another big tech company? It is possible. So, watching this conference unfold, right, or this summit unfold, we should get the aspirations and ambitions from Meta platforms in the metaverse. Mainly because Mark Zuckerberg has said that's where Meta platforms, formerly known as Facebook, is headed. And this deal with Microsoft and Activision Blizzard really does put targets on smaller gaming companies for these bigger tech companies to buy up. Because the future is the metaverse. Our technology will be evolving and we will be more, I don't know what the right word to use yet. We're not going to be cyborgs, but we're going to be more connected to the technology that we use in a more immersive way. I mean, you can already see it with virtual reality and other aspects like that. So I'm watching this one closely, not specifically for, excuse me, Meta platforms and their stock to move on this one, but I'm curious about how the overall gaming industry is going to be talking about themselves after this big move from Microsoft. Okay, we also get a few more earnings that are on my radar, which includes Johnson & Johnson, ticker symbol JNJ. Now, this is a company that has, share price-wise, has been all over the place. It's been a mess. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. It's not very stable. It's not like a company that is nice and smooth on the charts going up and to the right. Johnson & Johnson right now is sitting at 164.87 a share. And you can kind of see a bit of a range here that it's been in, right? So we got a top here around $172, maybe going up to as high here to $175. That would be the top of this range. And then on the bottom, we're going down to about 157 on the bottom side of this range, maybe to as low as not too much further, 155. So you can see there with these lines that I've placed, it's definitely been range bound and moving sideways. I suspect it's below its 50-day moving average, its 200-day moving average. It's been falling, but not as fast as some other companies. So they have their earnings coming up, and I don't know. The earnings season this year is going to be so weird and abnormal. We may get companies who report strong earnings and they'll rally for a day maybe, and then people will sell out of them. And then back down the stock goes. All right, another legacy company that's been around for a while also reports, and that's Verizon. I'm watching them. Ticker symbol is VZ. So Verizon Communications. Now, again, they have been in a decline. Not quite as choppy as Johnson & Johnson, but still a decline. Right back here, December 10th, was a bit of a turnaround moment for the decline of this stock. And they had this pretty big rally, 4.3%. That's big for Verizon. You don't typically see big moves like that. I mean, look at Friday, and the market was down substantially, but Verizon was only down 0.4%. Now, their earnings are coming up, and it's one that I'm watching. All right, next one is Lockheed Martin, ticker symbol LMT, and then finally American Express, AXP. Those are the earnings I'm watching that come out before the market opens. Now, the same day, the earnings I'm watching in the after hours includes a very big company that a lot of people are talking about, and that's Microsoft. Ticker symbol is MSFT. They come out with their earnings report, and it's too early for any of the Activision Blizzard deal to show up in their earnings report. So you're going to have to wait for that a little bit longer. I mean, it could take a year for all of the details of that deal to get ironed out. So don't expect anything right now in the earnings report from Microsoft to reflect anything related to Activision Blizzard. Okay, Microsoft is coming to this 200-day moving average relatively quickly. It's been falling and falling. Can earnings help to stop the fall? At least for a day or two, maybe. It's possible. Microsoft has been on fire, but what about computer sales, hardware sales? Are people still purchasing computers right now? What about the supply chain? Has the supply chain caused any sorts of bottlenecks or problems for Microsoft to get their products out? So we're watching that. Also, Capital One also reports Tuesday after hours, after the market has closed. Okay, let's move on to Wednesday, and this is a very important day. The FOMC will issue a statement following their 2-day meeting of policymakers, right? Now, the central bank is expected to take care of some of the housekeeping, like announcing the final round of assets purchases during the month of February. But no quarterly economic or rate forecast will be published at this time. Following the hawkish pivot in December, Jerome Powell, he completely changed his views. He stopped talking about transitory for inflation, met with Joe Biden, and just did a complete turnaround and became more hawkish. This was his hawkish period in December, or hawkish pivot in December. Now, the FOMC meeting, the Fed is widely expected to begin lifting rates in the March meeting. Although 2 economists out of 45 polled by Bloomberg predicted a shock and awe campaign with a 50 basis point climb during this meeting. I don't think the Fed is going to lift rates in January. I think they will do it in March. Okay? Now, the last time the Fed raised rates in 2018, I believe that's when it was, 2018. Fact check me on that one. After the final rate increase was achieved, it took the market about 2 or 3 days to reverse and start to climb. Now, on Friday's live stream, we looked at the 2018 correction. It was a 20% pullback in the S&P 500. We're not at 20% yet in the S&P 500, and that's why I think there's still room to fall. Now, if the Fed comes out and says, we're not raising rates in January, we will be raising rates in March, that would be a bold statement. Because typically, they won't pre-announce that, right? They'll wait till they have their March meeting, and then when they come out and do their press conference, that's when they would announce that we're doing our first rate hike of 25 basis points, which right now it's 0 to 0.25. That's where interest rates or the Fed fund rate is right now. So if the Fed bumps that up by 25 basis points, we're going from 0.25 up to 0.5. So you always have that range, right, of about 25 basis points. Okay, so that's what everybody is watching, the FOMC meeting and the press release and press conference thereafter. And what will Jerome Powell say? Now, we also get news from a couple of specific companies. One is Roblox, right? Ticker symbol is RBLX for Roblox. Now, Roblox has been falling. Let the chart load here. Very steep decline. It got a little bounce on the Microsoft move or announcement, and then the last time we really dove in to Roblox here, it was what's going to happen next? Are they going to bounce, or are they going to continue to fall? And of course, they continued to fall. Now, this was a very steep fall for Roblox. And if we measure how far they have gone down, we have got a top up here around $141.60. And now we're down under 100. We're down to 68.93. So I'll plug it right there. A 51% drop from their 52-week high. A 51% drop. I don't think Roblox is for sale. Like, I don't think a big tech company can come and buy Roblox, but you never know. Now, the CEO of Roblox is going to give a talk at the Games Beat Summit with the with Meta Platforms. So Games Beat Summit into the Metaverse 2. That's where the CEO of Roblox will be talking. So there will be a lot of interesting things of note about the metaverse that we can learn from this. Shares of Roblox saw an initial gain after the announcement of the Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal before concerns over competition threat from Redmond factored in. And that would be Microsoft. Okay, a fun one that during our after hour show we will be live streaming is Tesla, TSLA. What does Tesla have in store for us all? Are there any announcements? I don't know. But this one is going to be fun to listen to. Now, Facebook, I've got the whole gaming sector on my mind right now. But Tesla has their earnings report, right? The stock's been falling 5.2% on Friday, a small little, almost flat on Thursday, and then on Wednesday, a 3.38% fall. Convictionless bounce here, and then there was a 6.75% fall. But it's not falling very far, quite frankly. It's staying within this range that it has set, going all the way back here to this gap up around October 22nd. So you can definitely see a top here for Tesla, right? I can line it up right there, right about, let's call it 1212, $1,112. I'll put a line there. That's been about the top of the range for Tesla. Could we get a bounce from Tesla on earnings? Now, they report after hours, so maybe we won't see much action until the following day. But then again, we're not in a typical market right now. So there may be a bounce in after hours, but it may be wiped out by the time the market's open in the morning. We just don't know. Now, during this conference call, and again, we will live stream it, I think investors are really looking for information and a timeline for deliveries out of the Berlin and Austin gigafactories. I think that that question, when will Giga Berlin and Giga Austin open up, and what is the expected production rate from those two facilities? I think that is one of the sole questions that investors really want to know. Because if those two factories come online this year, and they are expected to, that will move Tesla in a big way. Opening those two facilities could very easily get Tesla over 1 million vehicles this year. And I think that's pretty cool. Now, it's already been announced that there will be a grand opening, let's call it party, at the Austin factory sometime in the first quarter, like there was last year at the Berlin factory. So I'm definitely looking forward to hearing about that. And again, we will live stream that. We go live every day the market is open, starting at 5 p.m. ish. And we talk about what's moved the markets. We talk about stocks. We do deep dives on stocks. We talk about crypto. We talk about the most important thing being your questions. So we take live questions during the show, and it's one of the most important things that the show is for, to help investors. Okay, earnings on Wednesday before the market open include Boeing, ticker symbol BA, AT&T, ticker symbol T, Abbott Labs, ticker symbol ABT, and Progressive, which is an insurance company, ticker symbol PGR. Those are the ones I'm watching for the morning. Now, in the after hours, I'll be watching for Intel, ticker symbol INTC, Levi's, ticker symbol LEVI, and ServiceNow, ticker symbol NOW, NOW. They also report their earnings. Then, of course, Tesla, which will be live streaming. All right, moving on to Thursday, we get earnings from McDonald's, ticker symbol MCD. Now, McDonald's is an interesting one. Fast food is really being watched right now in a very heavy way. McDonald's has been in a short downtrend here going to the beginning or January 6th of this year, and it's been falling since then. But overall, McDonald's has been performing really well. But this correction that we're in right now, it's pulling everything down, which means we need to have a shopping list ready. And I'll touch on that in just a moment. But I'm watching the McDonald's. It's not even down to its 200-day moving average yet. So it's been falling. It'll have these little green days like on Friday. It was up 0.5%. All right, other earnings that I'm watching include MasterCard, ticker symbol MA, Southwest Airlines, ticker symbol LUV, another big one, Apple, AAPL. I'm also very curious about their earnings. I want to know about production. I want to know what they believe their guidance is going to be. Very important. Supply chain problems and guidance. Those are the two big things that I'm looking for. Do they think that iPhones are going to slow down in sales? Another interesting question. And of course, the supply chain one is a big one. So Apple, it's been doing a pretty good job of moving slowly, right? And after this rally it had here, when it finally broke this range that it was in with this $150 area, breaking above that and getting up here to a 52-week high of $182.94. That was a nice rally from Apple. But now that we're into January, Apple's been coming back down. And I think Apple can come all the way back down, back into that range that it was in. Its 200-day moving average right now is at $144. I think Apple can get that low, even with earnings coming up. All right, and then of course, Robinhood has earnings, and HOOD for that stock chart again. I know we just looked at it. So they've got the lockup period expiration, so people can sell if they want to, and then earnings come out. And here's something about Robinhood and their earnings. The bigger banks, Jefferies, JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, they all had problems, declining problems in fixed income trading. Fixed income trading. Jefferies, which is a huge financial institution, and it's viewed as a gauge for how the big banks will report on earnings. It's been that way for several quarters, and this quarter was no different. Jefferies fixed income trading fell 49%. And this is a big institution. And once that was reported, when JP Morgan Chase came and reported their earnings, what did they suffer with? Fixed income trading was down for them also. Fixed income trading was down for Citibank. Fixed income trading was also down at Wells Fargo. And fixed income trading was down at Morgan Stanley. However, I have to give credit where credit is due. Morgan Stanley did not perform as bad as the other big banks did. So, with fixed income trading falling big time with big banks, how has trading been affected at Robinhood? I think it's going to be substantial. I think the volumes for trading on Robinhood have gone down, have fallen. When the market is green and the market is in a rally, when there's momentum, you get people coming into the market left and right because they want to take advantage and they want to gain as well. But when the market is going down, when momentum has been wiped out, when it's negative and the market is falling, there are less people wanting to get in on the market. And so they exit the market. There are less participants in the market when the market is falling. People want to protect their money. Okay. So I'm watching Robinhood not because I think the stock's going to go up. I think the stock's going to go down. But I want to see how trading has been affected at Robinhood. That's really what I'm watching with Robinhood. And then we have Visa also reporting on Thursday after the market closes. Okay, on Friday, we need to watch Talos Energy. Ticker symbol is TALO. I see a comment here. BSFC ran 1,300% pre-market Friday. Thoughts on BPTS to have a similar parabolic rise tomorrow pre-market? All right, I'll look at that. I'll pull that up. I'll do it right now. Do it right now. And then we'll get back to Talos Energy because that's connected to Chevron. All right. BSFC is the one that ran. Blue Star Foods, okay. All right, so this is the one that moved on Friday. Well, it doesn't move much, but when it does move, it's got some big candles. All right. 264% there. Okay. So 114% last week for that one. All right, so okay. Now let's plug in BPTS. I am not familiar with either one of these. Wow, they've been in a downtrend here. Did they IPO? Is that how they became public, or did they SPAC? Well, it wouldn't have been a SPAC. Direct. instead of the IPO, a DPO. February 10th of last year, opened at $18.50 and then fell all year. Okay. I don't know this company, so I can't say for certain what might happen here in the short term. Let me uh let me look on the terminal here for a moment and see if I can find anything that might suggest a move. All right, so BPTS. All right, just looking here at the terminal. So post market, it ran 15.4% on Friday after being down the 1.9% during the day. It popped to 15.4% in after hours. So I don't see anything recent in here. I don't see any signals that suggest that it's going to move in such a way. I don't see any news about them. Obviously, these smaller companies don't get much coverage, so there's not much written about them. But I'm not seeing anything right now that would signal. I mean, the last bit of news or from the company was on December 22nd. So nothing here for 2022 that I can find yet. So if you've got some information and think it's gonna move on Monday, watch it. But I'm not seeing anything that says that it's going to. And again, December the 22nd was the last time I've got any type of news from the company. So I can't say that this one will run in a similar fashion because I don't see anything out there about it. But if you think that there's something to it, then definitely make sure you're watching it. And if it starts to move, then, if you can do a swing trade on it or a day trade on it, then by all means, do so. Okay, let me get back to Talos Energy right quick. So, Talos Energy, it's connected to Chevron in a way. So, Talos Energy is TALO. That's the ticker symbol for Talos Energy. Now, they have a tight correlation to Chevron on Chevron's earnings. Not on their own earnings, but when Chevron posts earnings. And as you can see here, this is a company that, again, it's been all over the place. It got mountain peaks and valleys, and it's just been all over the place. So far for this year, it's down 0.2% year to date. Over the past year, it's only up 0.7%, but there were good trades that you could make on this company. And it all has to do with Chevron and when Chevron reports its earnings. Now, Chevron's ticker symbol is CVX, and they were one of my top two Dow 30 stock picks last week, and they're also one of my top two Dow 30 stock picks for this week because they have earnings and they have had a lot of momentum. And remember what I said at the onset of this video. There is only one S&P 500 sector that is in the green for 2022, and that's energy. Chevron is in that group. Now, we have got ourselves a price target here, up here. I got to shrink this chart down a little bit, of $135. I think Chevron is going to $135 in the short term. Now, it reached this 52-week high of $130, and then it pulled back. Now, it's going to be falling into this range. Maybe it taps the 21-day moving average. Maybe it waits till it reports earnings before reversing and rebounding. If you look at their last earnings back here on October the 29th, it took the stock a couple of days before it started to move. And then it was making these wild swings up and down. And that's when oil costs were going up and down as well. But once oil regained that momentum, so did Chevron, and it had a very nice December into January rally. It peaked on January 19th. So for a broader market that's pulling back, and you have Chevron moving forward. So Chevron reports earnings before the market opens, and the company gets a 12% Talon, gets 12% of its revenue from Chevron. And since it's connected in such a strong way, it moves in tandem with Chevron on earnings day, and it has done so in the last 8 quarters. So over the last 8 quarters, it's moved with Chevron. So keep that one on your radar. Now we also get earnings from Charter Communication, ticker symbol CHTR, and a big one that will give us an indication on a lot of different areas. Caterpillar, ticker symbol CAT, C-A-T. Now, Caterpillar is in the construction arena, and they produce all kinds of equipment. You got your big tractors, your big rigs, big dump trucks, and so forth. They're used in mining. Anything that has to do with moving earth, and Caterpillar is behind it. Now, on the stock chart here, doesn't look so good, right? They had this big decline throughout 2021, tried to rally, pulled back, but they did rally in January, okay? But that also reached a peak on the 18th of January, and it has been pulling back ever since. Right now, it is balancing on its 200-day moving average. If it can produce some good earnings with good guidance, maybe we could see a bounce. But with all of the stocks that we're watching this week, I don't expect major moves. And I don't expect major moves that will last. Okay? Because the overall market right now has lost its momentum and it's in a correction. And whenever the overall market is in a correction, you can have companies that can do good for a day or two, but they also end up being pulled down. A prime example is Sofi, ticker symbol SOFI. Now, there's nothing special about Sofi this week that I'm watching, but I just want to point out with Sofi to use it as an example. Let's go in here and look closely at last week for Sofi. I'm going to take the volume and I'm going to hide that for a moment so we can just see these candles. Now, Sofi on the 18th, on the evening after the market had closed, Sofi came out with news that completely shook the company and changed its foundation. With the news that Sofi has been approved to be a national bank. This is big game-changing news for Sofi. Sofi, as you can see, gapped up the very next day, 13.6%. And then the following day, it ran up to its 50-day, excuse me for just a moment. Sorry about that. All right. So Sofi ran up to its 50-day moving average. So from the bottom down here to the top, its 50-day moving average was a 36.5% move in 2 days. 36.5% move in 2 days on news that completely, fundamentally changes the company for the best possible way imaginable. Sofi becoming a national bank is big. It is game-changing for the company in a very positive way. But it was down here trading at $11, $12. $11.99, $12. And right now, it's at $13.89. It fell on Friday 7.4%. So after this big 2-day run, over 30%, it has pulled right back down. And right now, it's $1.89 per share above where it was before the news broke. This news should, in my opinion, have this stock back in the $20, $30, $35 range. If we were in a risk on, and if we were in a market with momentum. Since we're not, good news cannot hold a stock up for long. In Sofi's case, 2 days. It ran up for 2 days and then came back down on such positive news. So just be careful in this market. You know, some of the safest bets are ETFs. And they can be good places to park your money while the market is pulling back. And you actually have ETFs that are designed to short the market. Those have been performing very well, especially Thursday, Friday of last week. So just watch for those. And all the stocks mentioned in today's Callus Watch video, I don't expect moves to change the trajectory of the downtrend, but maybe give a pop for a day or two and then come back down like it did for Sofi. Okay. Well, that's what I am watching this week. But I want to hear from you. What catalyst are you watching for this week? Are you curious about what the Fed's going to say? I know I am. So let me know in the comments below. And remember, your comments make these videos so much better. Okay, if you found this video to be helpful, informative, actionable, then click the like button, share this video with everyone so we can all enjoy financial freedom. And remember, click the first link in the description to get our top 10 value, growth, dividend, and momentum stocks lists that are constantly updated. Oh, and every day the market is open, I host the After Hours show starting around 5 p.m. Eastern to talk about what moved the markets, stocks, crypto, and most importantly, answer your questions. So thank you guys and ladies so very much for watching, and I'll see you either tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow, in the after hours after the market is closed to talk about earnings mainly. That's what I'll have on my plate for tomorrow. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.